class, welcome back. It's our first video being back from break, and we're starting our unit on percents. I want to quickly review the definition of percent. Please write this on your notes. There is not a spot for it, but find a spot on the side. We've broken percent up before. Per means out of, or for every one, and cent, century, means 100. So percent means out of 100. So we're going to be seeing 100 a lot and using percents a lot. So we want to make sure we have that definition down. Next, when we are working with percent problems, there is a sentence and a proportion that is very, very helpful to remember. The sentence is, part is percent of whole. And that makes sense. A part is a percent of a whole. And we want to identify, connect some of these words. Part is next to is, and whole is next to of. And the third piece of information we have is our percent. So part is percent of whole. That's just going to help us determine in problems like we have down here, of 15, of is with whole, so 15 must be our whole. And once we can identify that, we always set our information up in the same proportion, which is part over whole equals percent over 100. And again, we talked about a percent being part of 100. So we have the part, which is our percent, and the whole, which is 100. So make sure you have those written down, and those are going to be very, very helpful. Let's go ahead to the first example problem. What percent of 15 is 9? So what percent? We don't know. This is our question. So we know that in our proportion, that percent is going to be our variable. Of 15, here's of, so 15 must be our whole. And is 9, what percent of 15 is tells us this is our part. So every problem we're going to write the same proportion. We can abbreviate it with part over whole equals percent over 100. And then we ask ourselves, do we know our part? Well, we do. We labeled our part as 9. So 9 over whole is 15 equals what percent? We don't know. So there's our x, and it's always over 100. Because again, percent means out of 100. Now this looks pretty simple. We're going to cross multiply 15 times x, 15x, 9 times 100, 900. At this point, you can use a calculator if you would like to help do the last division. That is fine. And if we use a calculator, we can do 900 divided by 15, and that equals 60. So we can say that x equals 60. But I do need to see your work, and we should have our divide by 15 here on both sides, so we know what we did. So we're setting up proportions just like we've done. We're just taking it from a sentence, but we're always going to put it in this format. So let's look at one more. What number is 40% of 60? The easiest one to always determine is our percent. If we have a percent symbol like we do here, this is our percent. Now I have to determine if the 60 is part or whole. And let's look at the word right in front, of. Go back to our sentence. Of goes with whole. So of 60, this means that this is our whole. And if we go back and read what number is our part, and that's our mystery. We don't know what number. So you can notice we're kind of annotating sentences like you might do in English, and that's to make sure we can always go back and put it in this format. So let's do that. Part over whole equals percent over 100. Do we know our part? We don't. That is our variable. Our whole is 60 equals percent, which is 40, over 100. We can cross multiply, or we can simplify our 40 over 100 to 4 over 10. That's going to make our math a little bit easier, but either way is correct. So x times 10, 10x equals 60 times 4, 340. And again, divide by 10. This one we probably don't need a calculator. Cross out our zeros, divide by 10 on both the numerator and denominator, and x equals 24. And one last problem. Excuse me. 15 is what percent of 60? So percent, we don't have it, so that's our mystery. 15 is, go back up to our sentence, is partnered with our part, so 15 is our part, because it is next to is. Of tells us whole, and 60 is our whole. And again, we set up the same proportion, part over whole equals percent over 100. So our part is 15, our whole is 60. What percent? We don't know. There's our variable. So always over 100. 60 times x, 60x. 15 times 100, 1,500. And we're going to divide by 60. Again, you're welcome to use your calculator. And 1,500 divided by 60 is 25. And we're talking about a percent, so we should add our percent symbol. That is all for today. There are